So
Say that one more
expensive.
say that one more time because that's a T-shirt right there, Rob.
They don't
It's
want to leave. You've just made it too hard to stay.
preach.
Okay?
Preach.
Leaders,
That
owners, they don't want to leave
leader.
you. They
They
just
don't.
don't know how to stay. I had that
Just
moment with a
made it
leader.
too hard to say. That is gold right there. That's T-shirt worthy.
94% want to stay.
Isn't that
94%.
well,
They don't want to leave. They just don't. We just made it too hard. So not going to stay. The second one is control is an illusion that leaders have. You have no control of anything. So let go, just let go and let them run their show.
let go.
Trust them to run their show.
This episode is brought to you by Leap Consulting Solutions. Our firm focuses on 3 areas of opportunity as it pertains to technology in our industry. First is expeditious acquisition of technology, helping you make quick decisions and good investments for the betterment of your organization. The second is business process change management and adoption. And then finally, evangelization of your new differentiators of your digital transformation. Call Leap Consulting Solutions today.
This episode is brought to you by Kyloe Partners. Kyloe are your Bullhorn specialists and Bullhorn's first implementation partner. Our solutions have helped over 950 companies worldwide to streamline, automate, customize, and get more out of Bullhorn. Our products provide you with tremendous ROI, including Kyloe Awesome Docs, the complete document management system right in Bullhorn, and the most powerful data management tool in the ecosystem, Kyloe Data Tools. To learn more, visit kyloepartners.com.
What is happening, Rob?
Lauren, I am a little sick, but I'm not too sick to not record with you. I have been so sick before where I've asked my wife to bring me a straw because I thought I had the flu and I was in bed and I couldn't get up. And that was 9 years ago. And she still, anytime I'm even remotely sick, tells me about it. But I'm not that sick right now.
Okay. You're not man sick, are you?
No.
Man sick?
I'm physically okay. Like I said before, I did everything I was supposed to, and I will cook dinner tonight. But I am a little stuffy. So, you know, be that as it may, we are excited to be recording our first episode in 2023, which is super exciting.
2023? Oh my gosh. I'm actually really excited. I'm really excited for this year. We're gonna be our, third anniversary for the firm comes in March. And there's just so
Cool.
much. The
Leap
3 is my lucky
consulted.
number.
What?
So I just 3 and 7 are my 2 lucky numbers. I see them all the time in numerology. If you do any of that, the woo stuff, 3 and 7
Oh,
are
so
the
you're gonna
numbers
start
that
telling me about
I
my
see all the time.
zodiac sign. I know my rising sign. I know
Or
my
either for
I know
I
my
don't know
sun
any of
sign.
that.
I know them all.
I don't know any of that. I am fascinated by numbers and numerology and the angel numbers. And I don't know, it nerds me out.
Well,
So,
who do we have on the show
anyway,
today, Lauren? What's going on
I am
today?
so excited, you guys. Okay, we are gonna have a tech like just girl nerd out session with our guest today, Tracey Parsons. I'm so excited. Welcome to the show, Tracey.
Welcome,
Nice to have
Tracey.
you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. And I have my own mantra for this year. It's evoking Schmidt from New Girl. And I've been walking around the house going, 23. And everybody in my house, like, you have to stop.
No, don't stop.
You do
Can't
not
stop,
have
won't
to
stop.
stop.
23.
I'm doing it.
23. I'm gonna have
No,
to start doing that too. I think we should
I
just
am
do that every
here for that.
episode.
Yeah.
23. 24.
I'm so into
All
that.
day.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. So I'm so glad you're just as excited about 2023 as
Yes.
I am. Well, because just for those numerology fans, so 2023 also equals 7. So it's got 3 and 7 in it. And so I'm just over the moon
You
about
doing
this
math
year.
over there?
Feeling
Big
good.
math numbers.
Big math numbers. Hey, listen, it's pretty basic math, guys. I'm not what they refer to as a mathematician, but there is simple math that I can do.
Well, so it's really funny because I love math. I'm a numbers person. I love numbers. I love math. I excelled on all standardized testing and math, but I'm a writer, which is really fascinating to people. And I've come to find out that I am numerically dyslexic, which is called dyscalculia. So if you make me dial into a conference call line, like it's going to be 3 tries for me. But I love
Uh,
numbers. I love numbers. I just can't always get them in the right order.
this is amazing.
That's
Okay.
okay. Okay, we won't
So
hold it against you, but
yeah, go ahead.
let's, Tracy. So we here at the podcast love a good origin story. So tell us your origin story. How'd you get started in
What?
this crazy industry?
Well, so I guess my origin story would go back to the late 1900s, right? If we can way back in the Wayback
That's also
Machine
something we should use in conversation too.
in the
Uh-huh.
late 1900s. I got that from my 16-year-old son. He was like, "I can't believe you've been doing this late 1900s." I was like, "Okay, you have to stop saying that." At the same time, I kind of love it. But I really started in this. I graduated with a degree in journalism, and I went and worked at a newspaper. I found that wasn't for me because I hate the hours of working at a newspaper. And I will tell you that yelling "stop the press" is way less fun than they make it look like in the movies. And it is not fun. Everybody hates you. So I transitioned into heavy duty digital, and I used my journalism background and took what I learned in advertising and marketing into the agency space. And I fell into the agency that eventually ended up buying Monster, which is TMP, which has become Radency. And I was their very first interactive consultant. And my whole job was convincing people to, stop placing line ads in the newspaper and start putting them on the internet instead. That was my whole job. And I was responsible for the very first banner ad on the internet for recruiting in 97. So I've been doing a lot of things in the HR tech, in the HR, like in the digital transformation and the candidate experience and all, work experience world for over 20 years. And it's what lights me up every day. Like I think that from the first banner ad to getting somebody involved in social recruiting on MySpace, like we were like, okay, so the first step is connect with Tom. Like, all the things that have happened since
Hi, I'm
then.
Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. But then I reflect back on it because again, I've been doing this for a really long time. Started my own software company a couple years ago. I've been running my own consultancy since '08. But it's always about this. It's always about work, the world of work, and how to create a more egalitarian work environment. It's a symbiosis, and it has to be a symbiosis because our companies cannot be successful without the people doing the work, and people cannot be successful without accomplishments and achievements to drive the business. So I've always believed that. I've always believed in, programming for our talent, and it should be for them because without them, it doesn't work. So that's kind of the origin story. And, if you go back even further, my grandfather was an immigrant coal miner. My father was a factory worker at Goodyear in Akron, and they raised me to be the CEO of a couple companies. And I'm very proud of the work that we do, and I'm very proud of the experiences that I've had growing up and the amazing companies that I've had an opportunity to work with.
Well,
Love it.
they've all shaped where you are today.
100%.
And I think, you use the word egalitarian, which, I mean, the idea that we're all equal. And I love that because I think that that's probably the foundational word for work drive, in my
It is.
opinion. And so I want to talk a little bit about work drive and the problem that it's solving in our industry. Because man, we're at this real pivotal point where, the great migration, people are figuring out, okay, maybe the grass isn't greener, and maybe I didn't need to make that move. And look, I'm all for saying if an employer is taking advantage of you or you're not happy, yeah, and so I'm all for that. I am also all for employers putting their all into their people. And so tell us a little bit about, I mean, all of your experience. Gosh, it makes so much sense now because I hadn't heard your origin story. So now that now I know the end of the tale, so it all makes sense now. All makes
Yeah.
sense now. So tell us a little bit about a work drive and what it's doing to solve this problem that we have in our industry.
Well, you're hitting on the exact problem, right? We have never ever thought to empower the actual employees. Right. And you look at all of these companies that have always had great retention and mobility in their history. It's because they've had these rotational programs or they've had this very strict and stern, not strict and stern, but defined like tapping strategy. We're going to tap people for the next level and we're going to work everybody through this cycle. But what it always came to pass to me was that we've always put all of the power in the hands of the managers and the employers,
Mhm.
right? We've always
Yep.
done that. That's how mobility works. So and so is going to get tapped for a promotion by their manager. That's how it's going to work. That's how they're going
Well,
to elevate up the chain.
yeah, US is very
Yes,
is strict. Like there's different countries, different cultures that have flatter
100%.
organizations. Where we live in the US, it is hierarchical. Changing, but go ahead, sir.
No, you're 100% correct. And even overseas, right? So even overseas switching, even around the globe, switching from one job to another is not typically in the hands of an employee 90% of the time, right? So I've always seen this as a huge miss because we don't see the numbers getting any better. We don't see any change happening. And I go back to the root cause of why is this happening, right? And I'm a curious person, and that is how I develop anything. I go talk to the people I want to influence and impact, right? So I went and talked to the talent. I went and talked to employees. I was like, hey, why aren't you visiting the internal job board? And why aren't you applying for jobs at your own company? And what do you really like? What is holding you back? Because they've put into place things that allow people to raise their hand, but still that's more like ticking boxes, right? Like, well, we have it, right? It's not something that's really focused or promoted, right?
And
Well,
what
you
employers
get
don't
go
understand,
ahead.
Tracy, is like the damage that gets done to the person that is literally just waiting to be tapped. They're just waiting.
Oh yeah.
And then there's resentment and this dissatisfaction, this brewing negativity that happens when there's this
Yes.
expectation that at some point I'm going to be tapped on the shoulder,
Uh-huh.
and then the tap never comes.
Well, and it's around this like there's very little opportunities for self-advocacy, period, when it comes to mobility. And I don't know about you guys, like one of the this was one of my aha moments, and it was 100 years ago when I before I even had the notion of work drive. I would get so frustrated because I'd go work with an organization and I'd be there a couple of years and I'd made an impact. I had great numbers, I had great reviews. I did what I was supposed to do. Customers enjoyed working with me. It was a good experience. I was doing well at my job. And every time I would raise my hand to my manager, hey, what's next for me? Right? We've all
Mhm.
done this. We've all sat in managers' offices, like, what's next for me? And I was constantly told, we have a plan for you.
Well, can I be a
So what
part of
is
that
it?
plan? How
Can
about
I
I
be part of that plan?
incorporate
Do I have editor's rights?
Am I in charge of this plan?
Am I part of the
And it became very clear I was not in charge of this plan,
Well,
right?
that is
Over and over
that's
again.
not a weird experience for US employees.
It is
No,
100%.
That's terrible, by the way.
it's
Okay.
normal. It's
But
terrible.
it's terrible, right? So we have a plan for you. It was another one of that tick in the column of the employers are running the plan. And the fact of the matter is, I have my own plan, right? Like I have my own plan. And it may or may not involve my employer, right? It may be personal things, right? There might be personal things going on in my life that might dictate that I need something different at work. So that was one of those tick marks. And then one of the other tick marks was I watched my mother, she is the poster child for born at the wrong time. My mom is a member of Mensa. Do not play Scrabble with my mother. She will kick your ass 9 ways to Sunday. She is absolutely photographic memory. She could be on Jeopardy and she's actually qualified past all those tests. She's a genius. Okay. But she was born in the 40s. And her options when she was 19 or 20 was secretary, school teacher, or nurse
Or housemaker, which is
or
a job.
homemaker. Homemaker. 100%. It is a job.
The job. Let's start calling it what it is. I know
She
you're not
had 4
compensating.
options. This woman might have cured cancer, but she had 4 options. So she was a secretary, could type a billion words a minute. Like literally, it was like listening fire
Could you
starting
imagine how
behind me.
bored she was?
Oh, I know how bored she was because she was tell us all the time, right? So all the time, like Joyce would come home and she would tell. So there was an accident on the railroad where she was a secretary, and she would tell us all the things that were happening and how she would have fixed it and how the mechanism, like whatever, like she would have gotten into the engineering of all these. So anyway,
Can we interview your mom at some? I would love to hear how awfully bored she was.
we can talk about that. We can talk about that. But and she's almost pushing 80 now, and she's still fabulous. But what is fascinating to me is that she was a secretary for 30 years and out of nowhere went and got a degree in fashion design. Okay, because she can. Fabulous artist, by the way, too. Girl can draw
Well, I
She's
mean,
amazing, right?
people have a
Yes,
job. They have a creative
absolutely.
outlet, right?
Yes,
Like look at Lauren's background. I know we're not going
right,
to see the podcast, but that's all LJ's work. The new
right.
logo is LJ's work for the podcast. So
Yes, right. So she went and got a degree in fashion, but that also included merchandising and marketing and all of these business skills that you needed. Was she even considered for a new job where she worked, despite them paying for her degree? No, because she was a secretary. That's how they saw her, right? So there are so many problems in the way that we work right now and the way that we view talent. And it's all these different biases. So what we kind of came to path and talking to all the people, they're like, I don't apply to the internal job board because I didn't know it existed. I don't apply to the internal job board because I have to fill it all out again. I already work here. I didn't apply to the internal job board because my manager would be mad at me. We heard these three themes over and over and over again. And this is what happens when you do not empower people to own their own career path and their own career experience. So we said, okay, well, what if we just pop the pendulum all the way to the other side and empowered employees, right? What if we empowered employees to own their experience? What if we empowered them so much that we anonymized all their data too, right? So we gave them something really sticky to play with. We gave them this kind of like this easy little setup wizard that's all of the things that we already know about them, right? We already know all this about you.
Right.
so does the internet. I love when you like, why do you need to fill out an application? Why do you have my resume or you have my LinkedIn? But like internally, you have my HR.
You
I
literally
know.
already
By
know
the way,
me.
Lauren and I
You
reviewed it and we
know
both
where I
chuckled when
live.
she said that. Tracy said that they make them fill out the application again, and Lauren and I were quietly chuckling to ourselves.
I mean, it's absurd. You know my spouse. You know you have my emergency
Yeah, you have
information.
my birthday and my social security number somewhere. You know my
Why are you
bank account.
asking this nonsense?
All of it. Like you literally have every piece of data about me. Yet you want me to go into your system and upload it again. Like, what are you doing? So one of the other things that we came to realize is that when we were talking to the humans that do the applying for jobs on the internal job board, is they didn't want to fill out the thing again. They hated that, right? They're like, you already know me. But
Everyone
the other
hates that. No
everyone
one
hates that.
likes filling
Right.
out
Nobody.
redundant
Nope.
information.
Don't make me set up an account. And if you're going to make me set up an account, let it be confirmation, not
Google or
creation.
LinkedIn,
Right.
use my profile, please.
Right. You
Like
have
that.
my information. Just let me go. Oh yeah, that's totally me. Boom. That's good. Right. Or let me tell you how I feel about things. Right. Like, hey, if I'm really, really good at these certain things and I'm really, really passionate about them and I could care less about these other things, that's going to be important. Let me participate in how I feel about my skills. And by all means, do not let the robots tell you how I feel about something or what I'm good at. I do not. I love the robots. I like the robots for the redundant work. I like them and very much for the things that I don't need to do, but do not let the robots predict my career trajectory. I don't think that's a really good plan. I don't trust them that well. They're not really good at it yet. So
I
there's go ahead, Lauren.
well, we have a rule here on the podcast. We talk about all the time people on relationships, automation, and technology on repetition. Period. Period. End. Period. End.
People on yes, that 100%. Right?
People on relationships, automation, and technology on repetition. That's it. If you
Absolutely.
just have that golden rule, pin it to your forehead, pin it wherever,
You'll be fine.
you'll be
Right.
fine.
You'll be fine. So they don't want to do these things. And the other one was that we noticed when we took a look at all of their search data and their search history that most people, when they're looking for a job, even internally, are doing so on a bad day. And they're going to search for something that's a little aspirational. I mean,
But
all of
that's
these things are
great.
duh. Like all of these things are like, duh, of course they are.
So Tracy, this has been like since we started talking about work drive, my brain has been like, what if these people want to challenge? Like, what if they want to grow? Like, your mom's a great example. What if she wanted to grow for 30 years as a secretary? Because she
Mhm.
was
I mean,
clearly qualified.
how
Like,
can the
Like, it's
Yes.
not aspirational. It is like grow or learn, keep learning, stay the same. Like, you should not, this is my personal opinion on this. You should not hire somebody and not figure out where they want to be in 5 years. And as a leader of human beings, get them there because
You
that is your track record as a leader. It is not your track record to get them to, like, obviously they need to perform in the job they're in. That's, part of the game. But if you have a great employee and you have no idea what that employee wants to be when they grow up, and that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now, you are not being a leader. It's just plain and simple. And it's your job, if they're a good employee, if they can do what they need to do for your job, to get them there because that'll keep them there and that may get them into a better position. And that will give you better ability to recruit better talent.
That
Because
will
well,
make you a
and
magnet.
it
yes,
will make yes. I mean, how many stories do we have to tell where leaders who aren't afraid to hire people that can do things that they can't, that are better than them, that complement their skill set, as opposed to looking at it like, I'm not going to hire you because you can do something that I can't, and how great that would make you look because it rounds you out, and that we don't. Some leaders, some bad leaders, I'm going to just throw that out there, don't think like that. They look at that at somebody with a skill set that's different than theirs as a threat, and that's not what it should be. Real leaders are looking for talent that complements them. Real leaders are asking the question every single time they have their one-on-one. I mean, what the hell did we invent the one-on-one for? If
Right?
not to have those conversations that are you happy doing what you're doing? And if you're not, this is a safe space to have that
well, if you're process
conversation.
oriented, it's just to check a box.
Yes.
Right. Right.
And sadly, that's where a lot of this is. And so I'm kind of obsessed with work drive. Now, let's be clear, it's work drive. WORQ
Q.
Q, because we in the staffing industry love any variation of how to spell work drive, and then drive just spelled like it is. So it is, if you were curious about what we were talking about and putting a search in real quick, just know that the Q is there to question whether or not you're a good leader.
Boom.
Did you see what I just
I
did
saw
there?
that.
We
That
got a
would
new
have been
brand. We got new
derailed.
branding for Work Drive
I'm
here.
just saying.
LJ is
I'm just
on it.
saying.
She's already
I'm
got
I'm
it.
on it.
Love
Gonna
it.
go. I
She on
need that.
retainer. Tracy, what's going on here?
We can absolutely talk about that. So that you're bleeding into the whole concept of, but what we took it a step farther is we don't need the manager involved in mobility. We're just trying it out. Let's see if that's a help or a hindrance. And what we're finding is it is not a hindrance.
Oh,
In
really?
fact, oh no, they're not involved. Right. So
Well, sorry. If they are involved, is it a hindrance? If it's not involved, if they're not involved, it's not a hindrance? Have you done
well,
the? Sorry, finish your thought. I'm
yes,
sorry.
we're looking at both sides of that, but what we're really looking at is sentiment. And
Mhm.
and they're looking at this in a different light, right? Because they're starting to realize exactly what you were saying, Rob, is that it's their responsibility to grow and cultivate and advocate for their talent to make sure that they know what they should be growing in and where they should be focused. Because we've eliminated their feedback loop from the Work Drive platform today, right? It's just these are our early days. We've been live for about a year, but we intend to give them more visibility into it. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to answer to that whole concern of, if I apply for something or I'm looking for something else, my manager is going to be mad. And so we're seeing that is driving some of our adoption, which is fascinating to me. So we've been watching the system flow for the last year, and the average employee logs into our system every 6 days.
That is sticky.
That's a great
That
use. That's a great daily user rate.
Great. Every 6 days. I think LinkedIn is once a month.
Oh, really? Lauren and I are like at least twice
Well,
a
we're
day.
every day, but the average user, right? So when you
Really?
look at with the universe of users, and then you look at the guy that sits behind me, and he was like, "Please don't make me log into LinkedIn." So he's balancing us all
He's
out.
by the way, he's watching some sporting event on the right. I love
So
it.
I want you guys to know how important I find this podcast recording. What he is watching is the thing we've been obsessed about for the past 2 weeks. It is the finals of the World Championship of
Table
Darts.
tennis? Of darts. Oh, okay. Interesting.
And if you have never watched
That's probably
the
really
world
cool.
championship of darts, you're totally missing out.
All right, I'll have to go
I
find it.
clearly this is something that I need to
Lauren,
add to
that
my
sport does not
bucket.
involve balls, so you can be totally.
I don't know how to take that comment.
Lauren hates all sports that involve balls. Football,
Okay.
basketball, golf,
Wait,
dodgeball.
so
She
I'm
doesn't
just
like
gonna
she
let
has
you
no
know
idea
that
how the rules work. She doesn't
you
like
might want
any
to
of
go
it.
with sport ball, like just to be a little bit more
No, you can just
like
say balls.
specific.
Listen, this is a very, very specific thing.
Now,
Balls.
look, my daughter played soccer for 10 years, and it took me 7 of those to figure out what offsides was.
But
So
if you ask her about a motor, we're in.
if you ask me about a motor or a race car or who's winning, like
Cams,
there,
ratios, all that stuff, she's got it. You ask her
I'm right
about
there.
a sport that involves
Sport,
balls. There you go, Tracy. Sorry.
go
Good.
basketball, do this sports thing, do the goal basket unit.
But darts is a new medium.
Yes.
You're not gonna believe it. You won't believe it. These people are so consistent at throwing the dart in a specific place over and over again. It's amazing.
Isn't it
Plus,
crazy skill? Anyway, all right, unrelated.
Very
It's just
Ted
yeah.
Lasso of you. It's very
Yes.
Ted Lasso.
Be
of you.
curious, not judgmental, Tracy.
Boom. Yes. So yes. 100%. So LinkedIn, so we have, it's a very sticky platform, but it's sticky because we're constantly giving them a lot of carrots, right? And one of the things that I think a lot of companies miss out on when they're talking about their mobility strategy or they're looking for how they stem the Great Resignation or the Great Reshuffle is they just are like, oh well, just give us your information and we'll use it later, right? We'll keep your resume on file. No, come on, like why are there not more carrots in this? So like with WorkDrive, there's the job, right? You can go get a new job at your company. We're serving up learning and development to the skills that you want to grow within the platform. We're asking you to advocate for your teammates and we're tapping you for jobs. So like recruiters can go in and anonymously source people inside the organization to find the best skills for the job. So when we talk about internal sourcing, we anonymize all their data so they just see matched person and this person has the skill set you're looking for. So tap them for this job and allow them to make the decision whether they want to be part of this. But they also have gigs and stretch assignments as part of the. So we've loaded all of these incentives into this platform, which is why people are consistently using it and they're often reminded like, hey, have you gone in? Have you got any new skills in the last month or so? Is there's some new things for you to look at. So we are constantly being, we're constantly top of mind with them, which is why it's so sticky. But the thing that blew me away, so the stickiness, 2 things blew me away, stickiness. And I didn't know mobility and movement was for hourly. I didn't know that. I thought it was up and salary. I thought it was always up and salary. Nope. More than half of the applications that have flowed through WorkDrive in the last year have been hourly moving to other hourly positions.
Interesting, more attuned to their skills.
Yeah. Different location. They were moving. Right?
Right.
So if I'm moving apartments and I'm close to this facility, right? But I'm moving to an apartment closer to this other facility, I would like to move my job over there. We don't make that easy for people.
I mean, you're again. Heather McGowan gave this great talk at Gig E this year, and she was talking about sort of the center of our universe as job seekers, right?
Mhm.
It used to be that the company was at the center of that.
Yes.
Now it's the person, right? But she did this big comparative, thing, and gasps in the audience. And while many of us are going, "Come on, man!" I mean, like you own the experience. Like this is what we're driving towards. And I think what I love about this is, in a world where there's so much pressure on companies, I feel bad for the large employers. They've lost a ton of trust.
Yes.
A lot of large employers have paid for the bad behavior of other large employers. I'm talking to you, CEO, who laid off 900 people via Zoom. And so creating trust is going to require deliberate action. And that may mean investing in
Thoughtful.
some thoughtful,
Brilliant.
yes, mindful. It's on our website.
Intentional.
Yes,
Human.
thoughtful,
Wait, human.
mindful, intentional. These are all the words that describe the people that make up our industry. Now, why aren't we investing in tools that help people be people? meaning I might want to move because of geography. I might want to move because I don't like somebody I work with. And just allow people to be people and enable them in a really cool way to transparently seek out positions. And, I'll take it one step further, Tracy. I've loved to see tools on the front end, like Top Towel Graphite, where if you don't have the skill, it'll tell you if you had these two skills, you'd be more competitive. Here's where you go get them. So you've got the one part of, yeah, you're there. I
That's
can
where we're
see
going.
that's where you're going.
That's 100%
People,
where we're going. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were telling
that
me about this.
transparency, people want to know what
Yes.
there's so much fear behind telling somebody you're not qualified for this job. And then being able to,
Tell them what to do
you
to
know,
get there.
tell them what to do to get that. It's just always been this. I don't know how many agencies have had a reputation of, don't tell, don't assign. Where have you heard that? Right? Just don't. Is that Bob calling again? He checks in too much. Bob just wants to know what's going on.
What's wrong?
What?
And what is wrong
What's
with
up?
that? Right? Like in our pre-show conversation, we were all talking about bad customer experience, bad customer
Mhm.
support. Like
A lot
that's
of it today.
exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
We're and if they can self-serve, like
Oh,
if
yeah.
any of these issues that we had in the pre-record moment could have been logged into a portal and figured it out and solved it, we would have all done it. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're
Yeah.
trying to let people self-serve and build the career that they want with a specific employer.
And sometimes, and you know what? The cool thing about this is it allows for the uncertainty when somebody's coming in as a new employee. You know what I mean? Because
Yes.
you may know this is where I want to be. I really liked who I interviewed with, and you may take a job that's quite aligned to you, right?
Yes.
But you're in an environment, or vice versa, where you're ideally, but you may not jive with one department or another. And this allows for all of those nuances and
Mhm.
lets that person self-identify, if you will, to other opportunities, to anything.
To
It's just
anything.
to anything. The
Well,
possibilities are endless.
and what was really interesting, Lauren, is when like one of our very first case studies, like we were just pushing live. We just got out of UAT. It was a summer ago. So it was summer of 21. And the customer that we were working with came to us and like, hey, we've just been notified from the Department of Defense that we are part of the drawdown of troops in Afghanistan. And we have about 2,700 people over in Afghanistan in a war zone that need to get out of the war zone into other jobs in the company. Can we put it in their hands? And we're like, okay,
Metal
thanks.
tested.
We'll give it a shot. But they did, and they were they were very kind and they were very lovely. Like if you save 20% of these people and get them on other revenue producing contracts, in a 30 days period of time, this is going to be a huge win. We did 43%. We saved 43% of their employees.
Big.
So we know that our tool works in a war zone on a mobile phone with crap Wi-Fi. Right. And it was like
That's
crap
so funny.
Wi-Fi and all of these things. But that for me, that wasn't like, yay, 43%. 43% is just a number. And as we talked about, I'm numerically dyslexic. So it could have been 34% for all I know. But I've checked this one a number of times. It is 40. But what I loved the most was how many notes we got from employees and spouses thanking us
Really?
for making this less scary, less worrisome, less troublesome, easy, and delightful. They were like, I had one less worry. Like, and I'm in this situation that is very worrisome. And because of this tool, I had one less worry. And thank you so much. And we're gonna be over in Georgia now, and it's great. So thank you so much. Like that for me was why I do it.
Yeah. So big picture. Is
Yeah.
there let's think I'm always thinking like educating, right? If
Yeah.
there's when we're doing a good job of explaining what not to do and what to do. Is there 3 to 5 things that you've learned at WorkDrive maybe that we could put on a big poster to leaders at companies or companies in general? Putting you a little bit on the spot, but I'm sure you have some stuff. But let's educate and let's get people to be like, "Hey, I should go learn who Tracey Parsons is and learn what WorkDrive is." And mostly because WorkDrive sounds like the podcast, right? Like can we just give her the podcast name? Lauren, Tracey, do you want to own the You Own the Experience podcast? And we'll get a new name for ours because yours it's more relevant to you.
No, but thank you. That's a lovely, lovely offer. Well, so 3 things. One of them is they don't want to leave. They're leaving because you made it hard to stay.
Wow.
Mhm.
How
They don't.
expensive is it when
Oh
someone
my gosh.
leaves? How
Okay,
expensive?
say that one more time because that's a t-shirt right there, Rob.
They don't
It's
want to leave. You've just made it too hard to stay.
preach.
Okay?
Preach.
That's
Leaders,
That
one.
owners, they don't want to leave
leader.
you.
uh,
They
They
just
don't.
don't know how to stay. I had that
Just
moment with a
made it
leader.
too hard to say. That is gold right there. That's t-shirt worthy.
94% want to stay.
Isn't that
94%.
well,
They don't want to leave. They just don't. We just made it too hard. So not gonna stay. The second one is control is an illusion that leaders have. You have no control of anything. So let go. Just let go and let them run their show.
let go.
Trust them to run their show.
Let go and let
Let it
go.
go and let it go and let them run the show. The third one is that let's see, what is a good third one?
I mean, all I really did was number 1. So 3 is
Oh,
3. The third one's gonna be a gift.
The gift is that mobility is literally for everyone. It's not just for your managers going to director level, your directors going to VP. It is literally for the line worker on up to your C-suite. Mobility is for everyone. And
egalitarian.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm
Egalitarian.
back
We
real egalitarian.
Yeah.
I got lucky. I say this a lot with my first employer being CHG Healthcare and working at
Oh,
Weatherby.
yeah.
They're incredible. So I think at least once every other month in an episode I say that. But they would, as long as it was like a really good culture fit and like a good employee. We were in sales, so sometimes they maybe didn't have the gift for gab on the phone. But if they could find a place for them in the organization and they liked that person was a culture ad and an ad, they would keep them in the business some way,
Mhm.
shape, or form. They may not be in a producing role, but they would keep them. And I thought that was really cool. And I don't see that enough. So
No, no, you don't see it
Yeah.
enough. You don't see enough. And there are so many people that want to stay and they want to grow. And we just think that we're in control of it and we're not. And as soon as companies let go of that control and realize that they can give them tools to stay to make it easy, it's over. Like it's a done deal. They'll stay. You'll
Yeah.
keep more good ones than you lose bad ones. Like, you know what I mean? Like
and that's a problem, right?
that's a
Like,
huge problem.
all right, well, I mean, in a very
So
in a very subtle way, that was a mic drop moment. Tracy, thank you for dropping a mic on us.
that's friggin' awesome. Just stop making it so hard for people to stay. I think that I mean that's the crux. The transparency, the trust, the culture that you can create in creating a safe space for people to have that mobility that is egalitarian, meaning it's there for everyone. I think is super meaningful. So if people are if our listeners are interested in learning more about Work Drive and reaching out to you,
Yeah.
where do they go and how do they find you?
Absolutely. So workdrive.com, WORQDRIVE.com. Twitter at workdrive, same with LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter. I'm that Tracy, the THATTRACEY, that Tracy.
Okay, you win
Um,
again. That's a winning moment again.
That's a winning moment. That Tracy, you're that Tracy.
I'm that Tracy. I'm talking about changing my last name to an exclamation point because I think that's funny.
I think it's
Tracy.
funny.
And so I do too. But currently my last name is Parsons, Tracey Parsons, TRACEY Parsons. On LinkedIn, I am noted as the bringer of sunshine. It is a true story. I will just douse you with virtual vitamin D if you want to connect. And I am happy to talk to anybody. If you want to email me about Work Drive, it's Tracy, TRACEY at workdrive.com, WORQDRIVE, or hi at workdrive.com. They both come to me.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, I could use some of your sunshine here in Northern California as we are preparing ourselves for another atmospheric river, which caused mass flooding in our town. Oh yeah. We had 25 cars that needed to be rescued from our road to get to our home because they were all underwater.
Not
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Jones.
So
Mr. Jones did
no,
not need rescuing.
no,
He's a
there was
rescuer. He's a rescue
he's a
ranger.
rescuer. Yes, that's right. That's right. Mr. Jones is the rescue ranger. But yes, so I could use some of that sunshine. Tracey, this has been so listeners, let's wrap this up really quick. It's been a lot of me because Rob's got the man flu. I'm totally kidding you, Rob. I'm just kidding. You've
I'm
been
pouting.
very
I'm in a pouty
I
face
know.
mood.
No, you have been a trooper. For listeners, this is a really, really, really vital topic as we enter 2023 and you have retention as a huge focus, culture as another big focus, community is which is coming off the heels of 2022. I mean, this gives you transparency with career pathing and mobility. It's what employees deserve. Deserve to be a part of that conversation. And I think that this is the beginning of something really great for you. So I'm so excited for you, Tracey. And so if any of our listeners have questions, you always know you can reach out to Rob and I. Tracey, it was such a joy to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, dropping some cool bombs on us, some
I mean,
teacher bombs on us.
I was so excited I offered to give her the name of the podcast. So
Yeah, you were. I mean,
I'm very
you did.
impressed. I'm very excited for WORQDRIVE.
Yes, you very.
Thank you
I
guys
don't.
so much
I've
for
never
having
done
me.
that before. I never thought it was even
Oh.
appropriate.
Yeah, no, yeah. You and the experience. It's
That's
right
your
up your
thing.
That's a good one. I'm not saying no. I just said we've got a lot of IP and we put a lot of marketing into it. So I love what you've done, but
No,
I
that's all
appreciate it.
ours. We're excited for you. Whatever we can do to support WORQDRIVE, you let us know. But to our listeners, make sure you go check out www.workdrive.com with a Q and reach out to Tracey if you have any questions. Tracey, thank you so much for joining Rob and I.
thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So, signing off, this is Rob.
And I'm Lauren.
Now go do something good. Thanks, guys.